This video shows how to load supplies into the i7500 printer standard configuration model using smart i75 series rolls. If you are using manual rolls or are using the peel configuration printer, consult a different video for instructions online at the Brady website. Now, before we start, just a couple things to point out on the printer. One, we want to start with our printer on and our print head open. And pay note particularly to the two types of arrows that direct us where to feed the label material, which is the solid white arrows, and the hollow outline arrows tell us where to feed our ribbon. Let's make sure we have an i75 series smart ribbon. This is a manual ribbon. This is the other video. So we'll set that aside. When we load the ribbon, we want the blue facing outward, facing toward you, and the black would be against the back side of the printer. First thing you want to do is identify on your ribbon supply spindle, there's a flat facet on here. You want to line that up with the flat shape on the hole on the back of the ribbon. It simply goes on and it slides in until it stops. That automatically centers the ribbon. It also ensures that the ink is always facing the right direction because you cannot mount this ribbon with the blue facing backwards. It will not actually go onto the spindle. Following our hollow ribbon feed arrows, we're going to go down under the print head mechanism. Pay particular note that this arrow says to go above this dancer bar. We don't want to be below it. Forward, continuing over the anti-wrinkle bar of the ribbon, underneath the take-up spindle, following our arrows, and wrap around and go under that little silver tab. Okay, and then I like to roll at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 turns to make sure there's no wrinkles here and to make sure you've got a good grab on that ribbon. Now let's make sure we have a label roll that is i75 Smart. You want to look for 2 things. One is the long, slender, rectangular RFID tag, which may or may not have printing on it. That indicates that it's i75 series Smart. The roll will also have, either on this tag or elsewhere on the label, will also have an i75 icon. Label rolls such as this will feed off the top of the roll. Some materials feed off the bottom of the roll here, and we will show that in our next material. Simply open your flange, hang the roll, and immediately close that flange, which auto-centers your roll. Before proceeding, have a quick look at the screen in the front. You will see that it should pick up this as a smart roll. It'll detect that chip. If for any reason it does not pick up that chip, simply take the roll off for a moment, put it right back on, and you should get that detection. That is not very common, but it is something that could happen. So we've detected our smart roll, so we can proceed with feeding it through. Following our solid white arrows, the label material goes below the dancer bar. The ribbon stays above it. Label materials always go below this dancer bar. You feed it forward, and you always want that leading edge to the center of that black roller. You don't want to be too far forward. You don't want to be too far back. It's a good time to point out, too, that it's important to have a very clean, straight across cut on the leading edge of your label. If it's been rolling around in a drawer for a while, you might need to cut that with a scissors to make sure you have a clean cut. Now, simply rotate this little yellow dial to bring the guides up and squeeze that material. You'd want to just barely touch that liner. You don't want to be too tight against the liner. You don't want to be too loose against that liner. You'll see the bright green sensor light in there. Don't worry about moving that or setting that because the printer is going to do that automatically. In the event that your label material slides backwards from that roll, just bring some slack into play here and lay the material down on the chassis. That keeps that label from backward sliding accidentally. Now you simply close your print head, and you'll notice the printer is going through an initialization. And when it's done doing that, it is ready to send a print job. So I've just sent a print job from the laptop here. It does another short initialization, and then it prints. And you can see the print density is good. The print is in the right location. Printed on the first label. There was no need to push out blank labels to calibrate the printer when you're using i75 series smart materials. That's the beauty of those materials. Now, if you need to change to a completely different roll We'll show you now how to change out both the ribbon and the label roll. It's very easy. Simply open the print head, cut the ribbon, slide that off, and we're going to go to a wider roll of labels. So I'm going to use a wider ribbon, but it looks just the same as the narrow one. Goes on in the exact same fashion as before. Slide it on until it stops. Following our hollow ribbon arrows, we simply go around. You can feel free to wrap around the spindle like this. Give yourself several turns to bring up the slack. Make sure we're wrinkle-free right here. And we're done changing the ribbon. That's all there is to it. Moving on to the label roll, just take that off the hanger. This is a roll that actually has the printable side facing upward that comes off the bottom of the roll, which is common with perma-sleeve wire markers. So that part just goes onto the hanger, just like the other part did. I checked my screen before proceeding. We did auto-detect that smart part, so I can continue feeding this forward. I have a nice clean cut across my label surface, the leading edge there. I open those guides, cinch them up against the material, making sure I'm not too tight but not too loose. And you can see that the leading edge of my label right here is in the middle to center part of that roller. I introduce some slack so it doesn't backslide on me, and I close the head. The printer will do initialization just like it did with the other label roll, and I'm ready to send a print job again. Important to note also that if you need to change out just one or the other roll, for example, let's say your ribbon roll runs out or your label roll runs out and you just need to change one of the items, super easy, just open the head like we did before. You would just cut that ribbon, or if it's already empty, you just slide it off and reload just like you did before. Same goes with the label roll. The only thing we want to call to your attention is it's always important that you double check that leading edge of the material to make sure it's in the proper place on the roller. If it slid back or if it was hanging out too far, just move it to the right location. So when it comes time to remove all the used up ribbon on the take-up spindle, it's really easy to do. All you do is open the print head, cut your ribbon so it's loose, depress this little yellow button, and it comes right off. If you have any further questions or encounter any issues during this process, as always, call your local Brady technical support team.